My name is Elena Marsh. I'm 31 years old, and last Tuesday at 2:47 p.m., my family opened my grandfather's safe in the law office on Maple Street, and my sister Vanessa stopped breathing for 3 full seconds. I counted. I had been counting for 11 years. Before we go any further, take a second to like and subscribe and tell me in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. I read them all. This story took 11 years to finish. You deserve to hear every minute. The call came on a Thursday, March 14th, 10:22 a.m. My mother's voice had the particular flatness it gets when she's calling me because someone told her she had to. Elena, Grandpa Ed passed Tuesday night. The funeral is Saturday. You'll sit in the third row, not the second row. Not with Vanessa and my brother Marcus. The third row, where the cousins sit, where people who send cards but miss Thanksgiving sit. Got it, I said. I'm sorry, Mom. He was 89. It was time she hung up before I could ask about the service details. She would text them later. She always texted me. Texting is what you do when you need a record, but don't want a conversation. I sat at my desk. The morning light was coming through the window of my studio in Portland, the pale kind of March light that makes everything look unfinished. My coffee had gone cold. I drank it anyway. Then I opened the bottom drawer of my filing cabinet. Third folder from the back manila. No label, inside one letter, cream-colored paper. My grandfather's handwriting dated June 2014. I didn't need to open it. I had memorized it years ago. But I opened it anyway, Elena. When the time comes, you'll know what to do. The safe is at Whitmore and Associates. The code is your birthday. Tell no one until the day I see you, sweetheart. I always have, Grandpa Ed. I folded the letter, I put it back in the folder, I wrote the date and time on a sticky note, March 14th, 2024, 10:22 a.m. You always write down the time. Let me take you back to Christmas 2013. I was 20, Vanessa was 24, Marcus was 26. We were at Grandpa Ed's house in Salem, the big one with the wraparound porch and the oak tree in the front yard. That was older than Oregon statehood. Vanessa had just gotten engaged to a software executive named Todd Marcus, had just made junior partner at a firm in Seattle. I had just finished my associate's degree at community college, not a 4-year university, not a name anyone recognized, community college. At dinner, my mother raised her glass to my golden children. She said, Vanessa and Marcus, you make everything worth it. Vanessa beamed, Marcus nodded. I looked at my plate. Grandpa Ed, sitting at the head of the table, set his fork down. He was 78, then still sharp. Still the kind of man who noticed when someone went quiet. And Elena, he said, what are we toasting for her? My mother blinked. Elena's figuring things out. Aren't you honey, honey? That word again. The word mothers use when they're erasing you in real time. I'm transferring to Portland State in the fall, I said, for my bachelor's. That's wonderful, Grandpa said. My father checked his phone. Vanessa said, that's great, Lena. But she said it the way you say that's great when someone tells you they're trying a new gym. Marcus said nothing. After dinner, Grandpa Ed asked me to help him in the garage. He was looking for something in the old storage cabinets. We didn't find it, but while we were looking, he said something I didn't understand until much later. Your grandmother and I put 3 kids through college. He said your mom, your uncle Ray, your aunt Joanne. You know what we learned? What the loud ones get the attention, the quiet ones get the estate. I didn't know what he meant. I was 20. I thought he was just being Grandpa Ed, cryptic, old-fashioned. He handed me an envelope that day, told me not to open it until I needed it. I opened it 6 months later, the night my mother told me she couldn't help with tuition because Vanessa's wedding was expensive and Marcus needed a loan for his condo down payment. That's when I read the letter. That's when I learned about the safe. For any of you who have been the youngest daughter, the one whose name gets added to the holiday card as an afterthought, you know the silence I'm talking about. It isn't the silence in a room. It's the silence after you speak and no one responds because they've already moved on. I didn't tell anyone about the letter, not my roommate, not my best friend, April, not even my therapist, though I probably should have. I kept it in the folder. I kept going. Portland State 2014 to 2017 Bachelor's in Sociology. I worked 3 part-time jobs. I graduated with a 3.8 and $41,000 in debt. My parents came to graduation. They left before the reception because Vanessa was having a dinner party in Seattle and they didn't want to miss it. Grandpa Ed stayed. He took me to a diner afterward, pancakes and coffee at 4 p.m. "You did this yourself," he said. "I had to." "That's the best kind of doing." He slid an envelope across the table. "Inside a check for $1,000, Grandpa. It's not a gift, it's payment for work you've already done. Don't tell your mother, she'll find a way to make it about Vanessa's kitchen remodel." I deposited the check. The next day I paid down the highest interest loan. I kept the deposit slip in the folder. You always keep the receipts. From 2017 to 2024, I built a life my family didn't see because they didn't ask. I got my master's in social work. I worked at a nonprofit helping kids in the foster system. I lived in a small one-bedroom in Northeast Portland. I drove a 2009 Honda Civic. I didn't get married. I didn't buy a house. I didn't do any of the things my family measured success by, but I was good at my job, very good. By 2022, I was running the youth advocacy program. By 2023, I was consulting with the state on policy reform. Vanessa, in that same time, had 2 kids, got divorced from Todd, remarried a dentist named Colin, and started a lifestyle blog that got 4,000 followers. Marcus made partner, bought a second home, sent his kids to private school, and my mother called me twice a year, my birthday, Christmas. Grandpa Ed called me every Sunday at 9 a.m. We talked about everything, workbooks, the Blazers. He asked questions. He remembered my answers. "How's that case you were working on?" "The 14-year-old, how's April still with that guy from the coffee shop? You reading anything good?" No one else in my family could name a single coworker of mine. Grandpa could name 4. In June 2024, his calls started getting shorter, his voice thinner. He was forgetting words, then forgetting he'd called. The last time I spoke to him, he said, "Remember what I told you, Ellie. The quiet ones get the estate." I said I remember Grandpa good. He said, "Don't let them take it from you." 3 weeks later, he was gone. The funeral was Saturday, March 16th, St. Timothy's Episcopal Church, 11 a.m. I sat in the 3rd row next to a cousin I hadn't seen since 2011. Vanessa sat in the front with her kids, and Colin Marcus sat beside her with his wife, Tricia. My mother delivered the eulogy. She talked about Grandpa Ed's service in Korea, his 52-year marriage to Grandma Lily and his 3 children. She did not mention his 4 grandchildren. She mentioned Vanessa once. He was so proud when Vanessa gave him great-grandchildren. She mentioned Marcus once. He loved hearing about Marcus's career. She did not say my name. I sat very still. I did not cry. The cousin next to me asked if I was okay. "I'm fine," I said, "the kind of fine you learn to be." After the service, there was a reception at my parents' house, casseroles, a slideshow, Vanessa's kids running around the backyard. I stood by the punch bowl. April had come with me. She was the only reason I stayed. "You don't have to be here," she said. "I do," I said. "1 more week." "What's in 1 week?" The will-reading April looked at me. She had known me since freshman year at Portland State. She knew when I was holding something. "Elena, trust me," I said. My mother approached, black dress pearls, the same perfume she'd worn since I was a child. "Elena, we're doing a family photo. You can step out. I'm family," I said. "You know what I mean. Immediate family, Vanessa, Marcus, your father and me, the great-grandkids." I looked at her, really looked. "Got it," I said. I stepped out. April squeezed my hand. "1 more week," she said. 1 more week. The call from the lawyer came on Monday, March 18th, 3:15 p.m. I was at work. A voicemail. "Ms. Marsh, this is Donald Whitmore from Whitmore and Associates. I'm handling your grandfather's estate. The reading is scheduled for Tuesday, March 26th, 2 p.m. Your presence is required. Please confirm required, not requested." Required, I called back. Confirmed. Then I called April. "It's happening. You're sure?" "I'm sure." "Do you know what's in the safe?" No idea. That was true. Grandpa had never told me. The letter had only told me the code. My birthday, July 9th, 0709. For 11 years, I had carried that number like a rosary. Tuesday, March 26th, arrived with rain. The hard, cold kind that Portland gets in late March when winter hasn't let go. Yet I dressed carefully, gray slacks, white blouse, navy blazer. My grandmother's watch, the one Grandpa had given me after she passed. I drove to Whitmore and Associates, a small firm in a brick building downtown. I arrived at 1:50. My family was already there. Vanessa, Marcus, my parents, all sitting in the waiting area. My mother looked up. "Oh, Elena, I didn't know you were coming. I was invited." I said, "Well, this shouldn't take long. The estate is simple. Everything's divided between Vanessa and Marcus." I'm sure Marcus was on his phone. He didn't look up. Vanessa smiled. The smile she uses in her Instagram photos. "Warm and empty. How are you, Lena?" "Fine, Donald." Whitmore appeared, 60s wire-rimmed glasses, kind eyes. "Thank you all for coming. Let's go to the conference room." We followed him down a hall, dark wood-framed diplomas, the smell of old paper and lemon polish. The conference room had a long table, 6 chairs, and at the head of the table, a small black safe. My heart kicked once hard against my ribs. Donald sat, we sat. My mother on his right, Vanessa beside her, Marcus next to Vanessa, my father across from my mother. Me at the far end, closest to the safe. Donald opened a folder. Edward Marsh's will is straightforward in most respects. The house in Salem goes to his daughter Caroline. He nodded to my mother with the stipulation that it remain in the family and not be sold for at least 10 years. My mother nodded. Of course, his financial accounts, approximately $47,000, are to be divided equally among his 3 children. Caroline Raymond and Joanne Marcus looked bored. And then there is the matter of the safe deposit contents which Mr. Marsh specified were to be distributed at this meeting in the presence of the family. Vanessa sat up. "What's in it?" Donald looked at me. "Ms. Elena Marsh, your grandfather left instructions that you are to open the safe." Silence. My mother blinked. "I'm sorry, what Elena has the code, per Mr. Marsh's instructions." Marcus finally looked up from his phone. "Why does Elena have the code?" "Because your grandfather gave it to her." Vanessa laughed. A sharp, confused sound. Grandpa barely knew. "Elena." I didn't say anything. I looked at Donald. He slid a single sheet of paper across the table to me. Handwritten, dated 2 weeks before Grandpa Ed died. To my granddaughter, Elena, Catherine Marsh. The only one who called every Sunday. The only one who remembered I don't like raisins. The only one who asked how I was doing and waited for the real answer. "Open the safe, it's yours." My mother's face went white. He wasn't well at the end. He was confused. Donald's voice stayed level. Professional Mr. Marsh was of sound mind. This was witnessed and notarized. He gestured to the safe. I stood. My legs felt distant, but my hands were steady. I walked to the safe, knelt in front of it. The keypad glowed faintly. 709, I pressed the numbers, click. The door opened. Inside the safe, 3 things. First, a leather journal. My grandfather's handwriting on the first page. For Elena, the record. Second, a stack of documents bound with a rubber band. Third, an envelope thick. My name on the front. I pulled them out one at a time. I set them on the table. Vanessa stared. "That's it? A journal?" I opened the journal page one Sunday, April 7th, 2013, called "All 4 grandkids, Vanessa busy." Marcus didn't pick up Tyler Ray's son. Texted back later. Elena talked for an hour. She asked about my knee surgery. She's the only one who remembered. Page 2, Sunday, April 14th, 2013. Vanessa's birthday. Sent a card and a check for $200. She didn't call to say thank you. Caroline said she's busy with wedding planning. Page 3. Sunday, June 9th, 2013. Elena graduated community college. I went. Caroline and Bill left early. Vanessa didn't come. Marcus didn't come. Elena pretended it didn't hurt. I saw her face. There were 11 years of entries. Every Sunday, every call, every missed birthday, every forgotten holiday, every time my family had been too busy for him, and every time I hadn't, I read them aloud. Slowly, all of them. My mother's hands were shaking. Vanessa's face had gone red. He was keeping score. He was keeping a record. I said. Marcus stood. "This is manipulative. Sit down." Donald said. His voice was still calm, but there was iron in it now. Marcus sat. I picked up the stack of documents, bank statements, investment accounts. Statements going back to 2015, an account in my name, opened by my grandfather in June 2014, 1 month after he gave me that first check. He had been depositing money every year, not much $5,000 here, $3,000 there. Sometimes a $1,000 money he hadn't told anyone about the current balance. $27,000, Vanessa made a sound, something between a gasp and a laugh. That's not legal. It's entirely legal. Donald said he was of sound mind. The account is solely in Elena's name. I looked at the balance. I looked at the entries. June 2014, December 2015, April 2017, July 2019, February 2022. Every deposit had a memo. For the girl who stayed, for the one who listened, for Elena. The quiet one, I set the statements down. I picked up the envelope inside a letter, 2 pages and a deed. The letter first, Ellie. By the time you read this, I'll be gone, and your mother will have already made you feel small. Probably at the funeral, probably in front of people. I'm sorry I won't be there to stop it, but I'm hoping this will... The house goes to your mother because she's my daughter and I love her, but the house isn't the estate, the land behind it, the 40 acres that runs to the ridge, the part with the creek, and the old barn that's not part of the house deed. I split it off in 1998. I've kept it separate for 26 years. It's worth at current market value around $900,000. Timber rights, water rights, development potential. If you want it, it's yours. You are not the forgotten daughter. Elena, you're the one I trusted to remember me. Love Grandpa Ed. I held the deed in my hand. 40 acres transferred to Elena Catherine Marsh, effective upon the death of Edward James Marsh. Signed, witnessed, filed with the county in 2019. My mother stood up so fast her chair tipped backward. No, Mrs. Marsh. He wouldn't do that. He did. Donald said 5 years ago. Vanessa was breathing fast, her voice pitched high. She didn't even visit him. I took the kids to see him every Christmas. You went twice. I said my voice was quiet, steady. You went Christmas 2019 and Christmas 2021. I went every month. I have the receipts for the gas. I kept them. Marcus said, you're lying. I pulled out my phone. I opened my photos. I scrolled back. Pictures of me and Grandpa, dozens of them. March 2015, us at the diner. July 2017, his 82nd birthday. November 2020, playing chess. February 2023, me helping him plant tomatoes. I handed the phone to Donald. He glanced at the screen. He handed it to my mother. She looked. She set the phone down. She said nothing. Vanessa started crying. This isn't fair. You're right, I said. It's not. I stood. I gathered the journal, the documents, the deed, the letter. I looked at my mother. The house is yours. The land is mine. If you don't like it, talk to a lawyer. Donald has copies of everything. I walked out. April was waiting in the lobby. She stood when she saw me. How bad, I'll tell you in the car. We drove to a coffee shop. I ordered tea. I sat by the window. I opened the journal again. I read the last entry, Sunday, February 18th, 2024, called Elena. Told her I loved her. She said it back. I'm tired now, but I'm not worried. The quiet one knows what to do. I closed the journal. I was not crying. I was something else. Something I didn't have a name for yet. April said, You okay? I'm fine. I said, the kind of fine that comes after 11 years of waiting. My mother called that night 11:47 p.m. I let it ring. She called again at 7 a.m. The next morning I picked up, you could give half to Vanessa. It would be the kind thing. No, Elena, Grandpa made his choice. I'm keeping it. He was punishing me. He was rewarding me. Silence. You were always his favorite. She said I was his only listener. I hung up. Vanessa sent an email, 600-word subject line. Family means sharing. I did not read past the first paragraph. I forwarded it to my lawyer. A woman named Diane Ramos, who I'd hired the day after the will reading, she wrote back, let her hire her own lawyer. You owe her nothing. Marcus didn't call, but his wife Tricia did. Marcus feels hurt. I understand. Do you? He thought Grandpa loved him. Grandpa did love him. He just loved me differently. What does that mean? It means I showed up. She hung up. I sat with it for a week. The weight of it, $27,000 in the bank, 40 acres of land, a journal full of proof that I had been seen. For 11 years, I had lived with a family that treated me like an afterthought. For 11 years, my grandfather had been building an answer. If you've made it this far, genuinely thank you. Hit subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. I'm going to need you with me for the rest, because this is where it gets quiet, and quiet is where the truth lives. 3 months later, I sold the timber rights to a sustainable forestry company. $34,000. I kept the land. I paid off my student loans. All of them, I put a down payment on a house, a small one, 2 bedrooms, a yard in Southeast Portland near the park where I used to take kids from the program. I started a scholarship fund in Grandpa Ed's name. For kids aging out of foster care, $5,000 to start. I didn't tell my family about any of it. Vanessa found out through Facebook when one of my coworkers tagged me at the scholarship launch event. She sent a message, "Wow, nice to see you're doing well." I didn't reply. My mother called in June, 3 months after the will reading. "Your father and I are selling the house. You can't." The will said 10 years. "We'll pay the penalty. It's too much house. Where will you go? A condo in Seattle near Marcus." "Okay, you could help with the down payment. You have Grandpa's money." "No, Elena, I'm keeping it, Mom." She hung up. I sat at my kitchen table, the new one, oak. From a craftsman in Selwood, I made tea, Earl Grey. The kind Grandpa used to drink. I thought about the last thing he said to me. The quiet ones get the estate, not because we're better, because we're there. If you ask me now what I learned, and people do more than I expected, I always say the same thing. Inheritance is not about money. Inheritance is about presence. It's about showing up when no one's watching. It's about calling on Sundays. It's about remembering someone doesn't like raisins and asking how their knee is and sitting with them when they're old and lonely and the rest of the family is too busy. My grandfather didn't leave me the land because I was his favorite. He left it to me because I was the only one who made him feel like he wasn't already gone. 1 year after the safe opened, I hosted Thanksgiving, not my family, a different one. April and her girlfriend, 3 co-workers, 2 former foster kids I'd worked with who were now in college, a neighbor who didn't have anywhere to go. We ate turkey, we played cards, we laughed. At midnight, April raised a glass to Elena, who shows up. Everyone drank. I thought about my mother's table, Vanessa's perfectly styled Instagram photos, Marcus's expensive wine. I thought about the 3rd row at the funeral, and I realized something. I had never been the forgotten daughter. I had been the daughter they didn't know how to see. There's a difference. Let me tell you something about being forgotten. You are not forgotten if someone writes your name down every Sunday for 11 years. You are not forgotten if someone keeps a folder with your deposit slips and your photos and a deed with your name already on it. You are not forgotten if someone saves the estate for you and calls it the quiet one's reward. My family forgot to notice me, but my grandfather never did. And in the end, the person who sees you is the person who matters. If this is your story, if you're the one who got left in the 3rd row, the one whose name gets forgotten on the holiday card, the one who's been showing up for years while everyone else is too busy, this part is for you. Keep the receipts, write down the dates, show up anyway, not because they'll notice, because one day someone will open a safe and your name will be the only one inside. That's the story. That's all of it. My mother and I speak twice a year now. My birthday, Christmas. The calls are short. Vanessa sends Christmas cards. I send them back. Marcus and I don't talk. And that's fine. I'm fine. The kind of fine that comes with a deed in your name and a scholarship fund that will outlive you and a house you bought yourself. The kind of fine that tastes like Earl Grey tea on a Sunday morning when no one's calling because you already know you're loved. Somewhere out there, there's a granddaughter sitting in the 3rd row. There's a daughter whose name got left off the toast. There's a woman who kept showing up even when no one clapped. If that's you, listen, the safe will open. Maybe not today, maybe not this year, but it will open. And when it does, your name will be there, I promise. Tell me in the comments. Have you ever been the forgotten one who turned out to be the one who mattered most? I'll read them all. I'll put the kettle on.